Okay, so I need to tell you about this wild drama that went down with my friend group. So there's this person I know, Tatum, and she's always been a bit of a wild card. She's got this charismatic personality that can get you to do just about anything she wants. Anyway, she had been hanging out with her friends Devin and Idris for months, and from what I've seen, they really looked up to her. But one day, Tatum started acting super suspicious. She was always concerned about something or other, and would often get these random texts on her phone that she wouldn't show anyone. At first, we all just thought she was stressed out with school or whatever, but then things started to get weird. Devin began getting these strange messages from Tatum claiming that her car had been broken into, and that she needed money to pay for the damages. Devin was already super paranoid about this. He's always been a bit of a control freak, so it really got under his skin when Tatum just started making up all this drama out of thin air. But we were all like, girl, relax, it's probably just some guy trying to scam you. I mean, come on, it was the middle of winter and nobody was actually breaking into cars that badly. And then, things took a turn for the worse. Tatum started getting these increasingly panicked messages from Devin, which is basically like, don't do this, girl. Idris, who's always been super level-headed, even started to get concerned. He's got a great instinct for when something's not right, you know. But at the same time, we were all still thinking that maybe Tatum was just having a bad day and needed some cash to pay off her car repairs. Which what? Because in hindsight, it makes zero sense. I mean, why would someone fake a robbery to get money from their friends? It's just not something you do. And yet, here we are with this whole mess unfolding before our eyes. And I know what you're thinking, what were the others doing while all this was going on? Well, let me tell you. Pauses mid-sentence, looking uneasy. We had no idea. Like, we'd all been busy with our own stuff. Devin had a work thing that ran late, Idris had to take care of his sick mom, and Tatum was supposedly out running errands when the supposed robbery went down. We didn't think twice about it at first. I mean, we all trust each other, right? But then Devin starts sending us these frantic texts, and suddenly everything feels off. I try to reach out to Tatum on social media, but she's not responding. That's when I start to get a little worried. I sent her a group message, asking if everything is okay, and that's when we all see it, the post from earlier today about how she lost her phone during the robbery. It was so casual, like she just threw it in with some random clothes or something. And then we start to notice more posts from Tatum's friends and acquaintances who were supposedly witnessing the whole thing. It all felt too rehearsed. Idris starts to get really agitated. He's convinced that something fishy is going on, but I'm still holding out for some explanation. Like, maybe she just needed money for a loan or something. But Devin's not having it. She's been barking up the same tree as Idris, trying to figure out what Tatum could have possibly done. As we're all discussing this in groups, I notice that our friend Emily is posting some pretty suspicious stuff on her socials. She's been liking and commenting on a lot of posts about robberies and scams, and one of them even includes a picture of Tatum. I feel like something's not right here. We start to make some calls, trying to get in touch with Tatum and figure out what's going on. And then, just as we're starting to get some answers. Pauses, looking around nervously, I receive a text from an unknown number that makes my heart sink. It's a screenshot of our whole conversation about the supposed robbery, with one line highlighted, "Gotcha." My eyes widened in shock as I read those words over and over again, trying to process what was happening. How did someone even get access to that screenshot? And why were they sending it to me like this? I felt a wave of nausea wash over me as I thought about how Tatum had manipulated us all from the very beginning. I looked around at my friends, seeing the same mix of shock and anger on their faces. Devin was white-knuckling her phone, her eyes scanning the screen for any other clues. Idris's face was a mask of calm determination, but his jaw was clenched so tightly it looked like he might snap at any moment. "We need to get Tatum," Devin said finally, her voice firm and resolute. "We can't just leave her hanging like this." I nodded in agreement, feeling a surge of adrenaline coursing through my veins. We quickly started making plans to confront Tatum, but as we were discussing the details, Emily burst into our conversation. "Guys, I think I found something," she said, holding up her phone. "Tatum's been sending out DMs to people who claim to have fallen victim to a robbery. And it looks like they're all getting paid out of this fund that Tatum set up." My mind was racing as I took the phone from Emily. The more we dug into this, the more it seemed like Tatum had orchestrated an entire fake scam to get her hands on our money. But why? What was she going to do with it? As we continued to discuss the implications of what we'd found, I couldn't shake the feeling that we were missing something crucial. And then, just as we thought we were making progress, a new text message landed in my phone. "Meet me at the old warehouse on 5th and Main," it read. "Come alone." My heart skipped a beat as I looked up at Devin and Idris. We all knew that place. It was abandoned and rumored to be a hotbed of illicit activity. What was Tatum planning? I hesitated for a moment, weighing the risks against my curiosity. But with Tatum's history of manipulation and deceit fresh in our minds, I couldn't bring myself to go alone. "I'm not going," I said firmly, turning back to Devin and Idris. But they were already up and walking towards me, their faces set with determination. "We're coming with you," Devin said, his voice low and even. Idris nodded in agreement, his eyes gleaming with a mix of anger and concern. As we made our way to the warehouse, the tension between us was palpable. We all knew that Tatum had played us for fools, but we still didn't know what she'd planned. And now, it seemed like she was pulling the strings once again. When we arrived at the warehouse, I could feel my heart pounding in my chest. The building loomed above us, its walls covered in graffiti and broken windows. We moved cautiously inside, our eyes scanning the dimly lit space for any sign of Tatum or her accomplices. And then, suddenly, we heard a voice. "Welcome," it said, echoing off the walls. I spun around, trying to see who was speaking, but there was no one in sight. The voice seemed to be coming from all around us, sending shivers down my spine. "Who is this?" Devin demanded, his hand on my arm tightening with anxiety. But before anyone could answer, a figure stepped out of the shadows. It was Tatum, a sly smile spreading across her face as she took in our reactions. "You see, guys," she said, her voice dripping with malice. "I've been planning this for weeks. And I have to say, it's about time you found out." As she spoke, a group of men emerged from the darkness, their faces obscured by hoods and masks. They were armed, and they looked like they meant business. "Tatum," I said, my voice firm but controlled. "What are you talking about?" But Tatum just laughed, her eyes glinting with triumph. "Oh, this is much better than I thought it would be," she said, her smile growing wider. "You see, guys, I've been playing a little game. And now, it's time for the final act." As she spoke, the men moved closer, their guns trained on us. And then, just as suddenly as they'd appeared, everything went black. When I came to, I was lying on the ground, my head throbbing with pain. Devin and Idris were nowhere to be seen. But Tatum's voice was still echoing in my ears, her words sending a chill down my spine, "You'll never leave this place alive." I slowly sat up, rubbing my temples as the memory of the previous day began to resurface. It had been 3 days since I'd woken up in that abandoned warehouse with no recollection of how I got there. Devin and Idris were still missing, and I was starting to lose hope. As I stumbled to my feet, I noticed a figure standing outside the warehouse door. It was Tatum, her hood thrown back to reveal her signature messy brown hair. She looked different, almost as if she'd lost weight or something. But it wasn't until she spoke that I realized why. She was wearing a pair of handcuffs and a straitjacket. "You're just in time for the grand finale," she said, her voice laced with sarcasm. "You guys should have checked your phones before we set this up. You'd be surprised how many people get pulled over or arrested after some random scam." I felt a mix of emotions, anger, betrayal, and relief all swirling together in my chest. How could Tatum do something like this to us? We were her friends, her confidants. "You faked the whole thing, didn't you?" I accused, trying to keep my voice steady. Tatum shrugged, a mischievous grin still plastered on her face. "Well, technically, I faked being robbed. But the end result was still the same, everyone got to take some money home." Devin and Idris burst out of the warehouse door, looking just as confused and angry as I did. "Tatum, how could you?" Devin demanded, his voice low and menacing. I watched in amazement as Tatum calmly pulled out a stack of cash from her pocket. "Money doesn't grow on trees, guys," she said with a shrug. And this was the only way I knew to get it. Idris took a step forward, his eyes blazing with anger. "You ruined our trust, Tatum. We were supposed to be friends, not accomplices in some sick joke." Tatum sighed and dropped her arms to her sides, revealing a phone stuck between them. With a flick of her wrist, she sent the videos and photos flying onto the screen, displaying our group's reactions to the fake robbery. I felt my face burning with embarrassment as I realized that everyone had been duped by Tatum's elaborate scheme. We'd all been so caught up in her game that we'd failed to notice anything out of the ordinary. The silence was oppressive, heavy with guilt and disappointment. For a moment, I didn't know what to say or do. But then Devin spoke up, his voice firm but measured. "We need to talk about this. How could you do something like this?" I shook my head, still trying to process the situation. "I don't even want to think about it right now." The group stood in silence for a long moment, each of us lost in our own thoughts. It was then that I realized Tatum had done something that would change the dynamics of our friendship forever. "I still can't believe this happened."